Good evening, everyone, and good morning to everyone in Australia. Tonight we are going to have Allurah on. Her and I connected a few years ago. Allurah is a walk-in situation. If you have ever heard of that, or if you haven't heard of that, you're going to learn about what that is tonight. So with the walk-ins, I have received a ton of information about this last week when I was channeling the angelic realm, and it just so happened that Allurah and I had already connected before that even happened, so it was all divine. Hi,
Hi, we
we made it.
did it. Here we are. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here with you, Carlie. It's
Thank
just
you.
really special. Yeah,
Thank you.
really cool.
I just want to ask, can you hear me? Does it sound loud to you?
It's fine. You sound
Okay.
beautiful. No problem.
It's raining
Yeah.
pretty hard right now. Okay, so we're going to do just a part one of this, and then next week we'll do a second part to this where we can talk about the integration process as we
Mhm.
bring this other aspect of self into our reality. So this is Allura. How would you like to start this? Do you want to go ahead and just elaborate on your story and what happened to you and the things that you had to realize and do? It was incredible.
Yeah, I'd love to just
Okay.
dive in. Yeah, so 6 years ago, I was pretty much asleep in my reality. So I'd say I was pretty unconscious. I could feel that there was something not quite right. And I was living like the daily life of a mum of three kids, a very devoted wife, a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress and a lot of pressure in my system, but not really conscious of it when I look back on it now. And I wasn't really on a spiritual journey either. I was kind of overwhelmed by my daily existence. So it wasn't like I was seeking a lot of spiritual kind of journeying or enlightenment or meditation or anything, to be honest. I was just trying to survive the day. However, I did know that there was some level of emotional overwhelm that my system was in that I would say is close to like a trauma loop that was repeating in my body. But because I was so unconscious and in survival, I almost didn't even know what that was. It's only in retrospect that I could see that. So friends invited me onto a meditation retreat, and I actually just wanted the holiday, to be honest. I was just in that place where I was like, a week away from the kids sounds amazing. And I went to that retreat, and whilst at that retreat, I went to the meditations that were being held there. But then I was one morning they decided to have the meditation on the beach, and it was like a walking meditation on the beach. And as I walked down to the beach, I could feel that something was feeling really off in my body and really odd, but I couldn't put my finger on it. So I kept walking onto the sand. It was a brilliant blue sky day. And all of a sudden, I just felt my body get really, really heavy, almost like cement. And it felt like my body was being dragged down to the ground. So I kind of was like, I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do to stop this. So I got pulled down to the ground, and I was lying in the sand. And then all of a sudden, I could feel the energy or the consciousness of me moving from the bottom of my body all the way up. And it was like gathering momentum, and it was building up through my body. And then it came up to the crown of my head, and it was like whoosh. And my consciousness actually left my body. And I could see my body lying on the ground. And I was like, oh my goodness, I've left my body. I might be dying. I can't connect with that body anymore. But as I had that thought, I also had this really deep sense of trust and knowing that I had nothing to do but to go with this process. I just had to fully surrender, and everything in me just released into the experience because there was nothing in me to consciously resist it. It was all moving outside of me. So I could see my body on the beach for a little while, but as I went higher and higher, my consciousness began to dissolve into this field of very, very bright light. So just the most immaculate, purest, cleanest, divine light that I could ever imagine, and I can't even really verbalize. But my consciousness began to, as it became that light, and began to experience this sort of expansion, and the consciousness began to kind of shimmer into this light. And it merged, my consciousness merged with the bright light to the point where it actually merged so fully with the light that it turned into a darkness. It turned into a void. So it was like a voidal space that I'd entered into as I'd merged with that light. And in retrospect, what I realized I'd merged with was the field of infinite consciousness, the void. I mean, some people call it the quantum. People call it like the whole of existence, really, in non-material, energetic consciousness form. It's the field of and the ocean of everything. So as I merged with that void, instantaneously, it was like I almost had no connection to the concept of me or being a human or being anything, to be honest. All consciousness began to get absorbed into that void. And as I was absorbed in the void, I had this very, very incredibly profound sense of being absolutely everything, everywhere, all space, all time, infinite, eternal, no barrier, no separation, nothing to hold me in any kind of restraint. It was just pure consciousness and pure connection. And as I merged with that, I think I lost consciousness for a period of time, because being in the all, being in everything, you can't be something. It's like almost like there's no part of you that can exist in that. And it was, it brings up emotion in me now, because it was almost like I died. It was the experience of being released into the infinite, eternal, energetic consciousness that is the divine essence of everything. So it brought up a lot of, now to talk of it, it brings up a lot for me, because it was such a massive, massive experience for me to have. And as I was there, I actually at one point was able to come a degree out of the all into the frequencies that exist in that space. And I discovered that there's infinite frequencies. Infinite frequencies exist in this energetic space, in this energetic consciousness. And so I began to be able to sense the frequencies of creation. And I actually got to play as consciousness in creation frequency. And it was just the most divine experience. So I got to experience the truth of the frequency of joy, of bliss, of enlightenment, of truth, of all those divine frequencies. And eventually I got to the frequency of pure unconditional love. And that moment that I emerged with that frequency of love, I dropped out of the void back to the light. And I was like, oh my gosh, where am I going? And I was actually being pulled back to this dimension. And what that showed me in that moment was that this is the dimension of unconditional love, and that we need a degree of separation from the whole of consciousness to be able to experience that love. Because when we're merged with the all, we are everything. So it was like, oh my gosh, I'm going back to love. But I was actually going back through the light, back into a three-dimensional experience where I could experience that love. So it was as I fell through those layers and those dimensions, I went back to the light and I could see my body on the beach. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think that's my body. And so my consciousness was almost like magnetized back into this body. And as I came to, I'd been out for, I was told, about an hour and a half. There were people around me, like I was breathing, I was fine. They just thought I was in a deep meditation state. So it wasn't like, I was just looked like I was, eyes closed meditating. But there were people around me because I wasn't really like responding. And as I opened my eyes, I had the most brilliant vision of this whole experience, which is I could see every single particle of energy. So I looked at the sky, and it wasn't just a blue sky, it was individual clear particles of energy. Everything was energetic. And I looked at the ocean, and I could see the energy of everything. Every bead of water was sparkling with energy. And then I looked at a tree, and it was alive, like the energy in the tree and the consciousness in each leaf. It was almost like my whole mind was blown. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know where I am. Because at that point I was quite disorientated because so much had shifted in me. But I was like, wherever I am, this is a place of pure energy, pure consciousness. And I was helped from the beach. I couldn't walk really very well, and I was very disorientated. And I came to a mirror eventually in the place we were staying. And that was when it really hit me. I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I recognize this woman in front of me, but I don't really know who she is. And I really don't know why I'm here. And that moment for me was a really big moment because it was like, I've gone somewhere and something's happened to me, and I have no idea where I am now and what I'm here to do. And it felt like all that voidal consciousness was stuffed into this really tiny vessel in a degree of separation from that consciousness. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm kind of trapped in a physical body. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I really don't know what this construct is of this life around me. And I had to then, this is kind of the beginning now of like, who am I? Why am I here? And what am I here to do? And why am I in this body? And why is this life kind of happening around me? And that was like the baseline of the beginning of the journey. And simultaneously, I'll just add, Carlie, I had a massive Kundalini activation happen in that time. So my body was vibrating and convulsing quite strongly, consistently. And if I would step towards something or someone that I wasn't meant to be near, my body would actually move me away from that experience. And as it moved me away, it was like it was realigning me. So I had this kind of consciousness coming from that source consciousness that was really informing me. But then I had the Kundalini activation, which was more like the earth consciousness energetics that were kind of trying to guide me and push me into the right places. But it meant it was hard to drive. I couldn't really work out how to drive. I would try to walk and it would overtake me, and I'd be kind of taken to the ground and have this episode, but where my energy was moving through me. But the whole time I knew it was like, from the external, it would have looked like, oh my gosh, she's had some kind of episode and now she's, shaking all the time and there's something wrong. And to be honest, if I'd kind of been drawn into that design, it could have looked like that. But I was so connected to some level of divine knowing and some essence in me that was like, you are going through this for a reason. You have no idea what that is right now, and it's scary, and you're very isolated in it, but you're going through this for a reason, and we just have to go through this. And it was for a reason. Everything has been orchestrated for a reason. And I believe that for every single human, the orchestration of these divine experiences. But it was massive.
So when you came back into your body, did you know who Allurah was? Did you have to relearn who that was and kind of play it out as if you knew who it was?
Yeah, I kind of was like, I would sit there and I would look around and I'd be like, I think I'm meant to know this, but I don't really know what I'm supposed to know. So, say the next morning at the breakfast, I went to get breakfast and I looked at the food and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to eat. I don't know what I like. And I went and I picked something and I came to sit down with my friends and they're like, oh my gosh, you're a vegetarian. Why is that on your plate? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no,
Wow.
I don't do that. It was like that whole construct of my preferences, they just went and I was like, I'll just eat what you give me. I don't really know anymore. It's like,
Wow.
that kind of connection to this is who I am, this is what I do. All the relationships I had were completely open for like a complete reinvention because I didn't know who I was in those relationships. And that was tough, right? Because people who knew me were looking to me and going, I recognize you, but there's something about you that has changed, and I can't really connect with you in the same way. And it did create a lot of loneliness on one level, or not so much loneliness, more isolation, more like I don't know who I am, so I don't really know how to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a complete blank slate. Yeah.
Wow. And then don't you have children?
Yes. So I have three divine children, and I came back to see them, and I knew that I had a connection to them, and I knew that there was this deep unconditional love, but simultaneously I just wasn't sure how to connect with them or the history we'd had or even their preferences. I remember like making food and going, here you go, and they're like, we don't eat this. And I was like, oh no, okay. It was like almost like I couldn't recall the version of me that had been there as the fully devoted mother. And to speak into that, because it's important that I share this, I did come back and I do have the most divine connected relationship with my three children. And it's even more deep and more true and pure and authentic than I believe it was in the anxiety I existed in. But it was a journey, and there had to be levels of evolution and awakening that they had to go through that I believe they're here for as well. But to have your mum go away for a week and then come back and not really be present because she doesn't really know who she is, it was a really big journey. Like it was really big. And, it brings up some emotion now because these awakening journeys, they call on you so deeply, they call so much of you to come through and be present. It's almost like everything has to get raised to the ground and then you have to rebuild it from a new level of consciousness, from a whole new level of understanding of what you are here to do and who you really are. And that truth of who I am came in that day, but it took time to discover and really align with and really recreate that next level of relationship with. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like we're so much in alignment right now, and I know why we are connected at the moment because the profound experiences that I have had with a new level of consciousness, and so many of us have gone through this, and it's always another layer, another one. And just when you think you know something, you don't, and you are opened up into another realm. And that's what had happened to me last week when I blew into this whole other level of consciousness. It was the most divine seraphim angelic energy. I couldn't even make it up if I tried, because no one would have access to that type of energy unless they were directly in it. And I did a video channeling on it, and I was saying how you will learn how to crawl, you will learn how to walk, and then you will learn how to speak. And I was thinking about you the whole time because I was going, walk-ins, walk-ins. They bypassed the integration process. They bypassed having to go through the fourth dimension, and they just went beyond the fifth, and then had to come back and have no recollection of who they are or what's going on, because they are the ones that are leading the way. And that's where the humbleness came in. And that's what the angels were saying through me last week, was that the leaders of the fourth dimension will become the students, and it will humble you again, because when you're in it, it is a humbleness. It's new. You're reborn. When you are birthed, you're birthed. You don't know who you are or what you are. You know what people tell you as you become more conscious of your body. And so when I see you and everything that you've gone through, it just makes so much more sense now as to what happened. It's like you pulled in this future self instantaneously without getting a helping hand walking there. It was just boop, boop. Here you are. And you're going, whoa, what just happened? And I felt you so much last week when I was experiencing that, knowing that you experienced it on a level that not even I could pull in. So thank you.
Oh, Carlie, I feel so
You are
seen by you.
so seen.
So understood by you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it brings up a lot for me to have that, to have someone who can really feel and know that on that level. It's like, it's been such a very in-depth, how to put it, it's drawn me. It's had to consume all of me. Every part of me is being in full devotion to the consciousness and to the knowing of this human experience from this level of consciousness, that it has just been the absolute truth of me from that moment. And to actually be seen and to be understood in what that really has meant is just a beautiful gift for me. So thank you so much. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you. And you know, we created this even on a higher level to connect this way. And it really is. And I'm seeing it now because this is part of my role, but it's for you to see you. And
Yeah.
simultaneously, we are all able to see each other through your mirror and everything that you've experienced. And it is so incredibly honorable to have someone who has already jumped. And now you're not getting to know this higher aspect of self. Now you have higher aspect of self and you're getting to know your human experience. It flips. It's the opposite.
Oh my God, I kind of like I have goosebumps because that's exactly what happens. It's like the only focus I have is to understand this dimension, to understand how, as a human, we're interfacing with this reality around us, because this is the truth of the consciousness where we are being called. We are embodying these avatars in this time-space reality because this is the most important place to be. And I get we have to go out to get the context for that and then bring it back. But if we're not embodied 100% energetically, spiritually, emotionally in this avatar, then we're bypassing the experience. And we're here to have this dimensional experience. It's one of the most challenging. And when you see them all and what they all bring, you know that this is a very challenging dimension because of the constructs that exist here and the degree of separation that we have to master to really align to the truth of our consciousness. It's so vast, but it's in a state of duality in the design of this, that we are physical beings in separation, and we have to bring that consciousness of the completion of our experience into this avatar, into this construct. So it's like a wholeness forms between the separation and the completion, and that comes together into a whole expression of this. And without both dimensions, interacting and coexisting here right now, we don't have the ability to fully liberate into this experience. We stay stuck in that energetic confine of feeling very much a divided entity, and we're not. We're here for the wholeness and this connection. So it's a massive journey of reorientating into this body and knowing how to integrate the truth of the reality. Consciousness is here to show us the truth, not some illusion, not some distraction, the truth of what we're here to experience. And for me, that's where everything is. Everything is based through the consciousness that's here right now. And we all have access to that. It's just about moving out the parts of us that are holding to the identity of who we think we are, so we can actually be the truth of that consciousness.
Yes, absolutely. And like we talked about, this is such a vast topic. We were just going to do exactly what you gave us tonight, was just the information of what you went through, so we can help identify what's happening to us. We're getting little pieces of it, and pieces of it will have profound, boom, consciousness expansion, and then we get more pieces and pieces, you know, and being able to see your journey and what you went through really helps us understand what's happening to us on more of a micro level, as opposed to the way that you had chosen to do it. And so that's where the honor is, because that's where the sacrifice that you made, that's where that is. Out of unconditional love, you sacrificed so you could bring back this wisdom for us right now. And you have been since the moment that that happened. And you have been doing a lot of work with people and integrating this new frequency for them. And it's an honor to have you. And I'm just so appreciative that we get to do this again, and we can move more into how do we take what you know and what you've experienced and what we are experiencing and integrate this. And that's what we're going to move forward in next week at the same time, 7:30 p.m. EST, and that's going to be 9:30 a.m. AUS, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, yes. And we'll go deeper, and we'll be here to really answer those questions and to go through what we need to know to integrate all of this. And Carlie, I just feel so honored by you and your devotion to consciousness, to the divine, to this human experience. It's such a blessing to be in your presence, and I just really want to honor all the divine work you're doing. I'd actually love to hear what you're offering right now, because I can feel that the channel that you are is such a gift to so many humans. So I'd love to hear what
Thank you.
can
I am doing basically exactly this, just being a mirror with a level of consciousness where I ask permission to tap into their higher self, and I just start talking with them, and as we go along, your higher self starts using me. And so I'm tapping into that, and then I'm allowing you to see you through me. And so that's what the entire session is about. And it's always different, because we're diving into your old programs. We're diving into belief systems. We're diving into the healing and not healing and what's coming in for you. But as we're doing that, your higher self is coming through me as a medium. And so that's what I offer. And you can just direct message me to book those sessions. It's a very simple process, and every one of them has been beautiful. I learn more about myself every single time I am in the face of a client, always. So it's amazing. So thank you for asking. And I want to ask you, what do you offer? I know what you offer, but would you like to explain?
So I offer a consciousness mentorship, which is 3 months of full integration of your journey and expansion into the true connection to source that's available for all of us. And I'm just a conduit for source consciousness to bring that here now. So in those 3 months, we untangle all the parts that are limiting that full expression of your consciousness. And yes, it's really open to supporting anyone that feels called. I'm just here to be of service in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how I feel right now too. I mean, it's not even an option.
No.
It just is. It's like there's no purpose in even waking up if I'm not serving in some way, you know, every day, whether that's a conversation with a friend or seeing a stranger and just beaming up when I see them so they can see themselves. And that is the most devotion to truth, is just being in that energy.
Yeah. Authentically you.
Mhm.
It's divine.
Absolutely.
So divine. Thank
Well, thank you
you.
so much for doing this. I know it was a little hard to get our times right, but the connection and the energy was there and has been there, and that's why we're here right now. So everyone that's watching, thank you for being on. We're going to do a part 2 to this next week. It'll be Monday evening, my time, Tuesday morning, Allurah's time, and we're going to take everything that she explained to us about what happened to her and talk about the integration of that. How do we make this into a manifested reality? We are already source. What we're learning is the human experience, and not the way that it's always been, a new one, the rebirth of an entire new experience on Earth.
Yeah, this is the time. It's right now. We're all here for this. Everyone's here for this. So everyone, actually, everyone is critical to this as well. And I just want to emphasize that. I mean, it's not me. It's the consciousness that's here. It's that whoever's here is ready for that consciousness within themselves and is going to develop their own unique relationship with it. So I want to honor every single one that feels that internally. It's true. It's yours. It's ours. It's the collective. It's time.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much, Carlie. And I can't wait for next week.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being on. We will see you next Monday, next Tuesday morning your time. And I'm excited to keep it going. So I'll see you very soon. I love you. Thank you.
Love you too. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.